In today's world, everyone seems to be on edge. One wrong look, one harsh comment, or a single unexpected inconvenience can send us spiraling into anger, frustration, or anxiety. But have you ever met someone who moves through life with unshakable calm? Someone who remains peaceful even when everything around them seems chaotic? That rare state of mind is not reserved for monks on mountaintops. According to Shi Heng Yi, a Shaolin master and spiritual teacher, this kind of emotional mastery is within reach for anyone willing to train their mind. Shi Heng Yi teaches that the battle is not with the outside world, it is within. Your true enemy is not the person who cuts you off in traffic or the coworker who criticizes you. Your enemy is your reaction, and reactions are habits, not destiny. The key is to learn how to observe your emotions rather than become them. You do not control other people, but you can absolutely master your inner world. You can choose peace instead of rage, clarity instead of confusion, and power instead of victimhood. This is not about suppressing your feelings or pretending to be unaffected. It is about rising above the noise, learning how to train your mind like a warrior trains their body. In this video, we will explore 9 powerful lessons inspired by Shi Heng Yi that will help you build inner strength, develop self-control, and completely shift how you respond to life's challenges. If you are tired of being triggered, manipulated, or emotionally drained by others, then keep watching. By the end of this video, you will understand how to stand firm in your peace, no matter what or who comes your way. Ready to reclaim your power? Let's begin. 1. Master your inner weather. Shi Heng Yi often compares the human mind to the weather. Sometimes it is calm and sunny, other times stormy and wild. But just like we cannot control the weather outside, we cannot always control what thoughts or emotions appear within us. What we can control is whether we get swept away by them. Anger, irritation, and frustration are like passing clouds, temporary, shifting, and dependent on conditions. The mistake most people make is identifying with those emotions. They say, "I am angry," instead of recognizing anger is arising. The first step toward never getting angry or bothered is learning to observe your inner weather without reacting to it. This means practicing mindful awareness throughout the day. When you feel tension building, when your chest tightens, your breath shortens, or your fists clench, pause. Do not act. Just observe. Where is this coming from? Is it truly about the situation, or is it a triggered memory, insecurity, or fear? Shi Heng Yi teaches that you are not your emotions. You are the space in which those emotions appear. Imagine you are standing on a mountaintop. Below, clouds pass by. Some dark, some light. That mountaintop is your awareness. When you sit on that peak and watch the clouds roll by, you understand that storms pass, emotions pass, and reacting to every single one is like jumping into every cloud. You fall every time. So how do you master your inner weather? Daily meditation is essential. Even 5 minutes of stillness in the morning can create enough space between stimulus and response to shift your entire day. Breathing exercises, journaling, and physical movement like Tai Chi or walking meditations are also powerful tools. You are cultivating space, and in that space, peace grows. Once you stop reacting blindly to every emotional cloud, you begin to see how much power you truly have. 2. Respond, don't react. One of Shi Heng Yi's core teachings is the distinction between reacting and responding. A reaction is automatic. It is emotional, fast, and usually unconscious. A response, on the other hand, is deliberate, measured, and rooted in awareness. Most people spend their lives reacting, snapping back when insulted, shouting when frustrated, or shutting down when overwhelmed. But true strength lies in mastering your pause. That moment of silence between trigger and action, that is where transformation begins. Why do we react? Because we are conditioned. Our nervous systems are wired by past experiences, trauma, and beliefs. When someone insults us, it activates a memory of being disrespected before. When someone ignores us, it stirs the pain of being abandoned. But the person in front of you is not responsible for your emotional baggage. They are simply pressing a button you have not yet learned to deactivate. Shi Heng Yi says, it is not about avoiding conflict, but responding from stillness. Imagine someone cuts in front of you in line. Your automatic reaction might be anger, but your response, if you have trained your awareness, might be compassion. Maybe they are in a rush for something important, or maybe your response is simply calm indifference, because you refuse to let something so small steal your peace. Training yourself to respond instead of react requires mindfulness and repetition. Begin by practicing small pauses in your daily life. When your phone rings, take one breath before answering. When someone criticizes you, pause before speaking. These little moments build your internal discipline. The power lies not in what happens to you, but in how you choose to meet it. By learning to respond instead of react, you are no longer a puppet to your environment. You are the master of your internal world. And that is the true definition of emotional freedom. 3. Detach from ego. At the core of almost every emotional disturbance, whether it's anger, resentment, or irritation, is the ego. The ego is the voice in your head that says, "How dare they treat me like that?" Or, "I deserve more respect," or, "They should know better." It is always concerned with being right, being seen, being validated. And when that doesn't happen, the ego reacts, often with fury. Shi Heng Yi teaches that true peace begins when you stop taking everything so personally. Think about it. Most of the time, when someone is rude, dismissive, or aggressive, it says more about them than it does about you. But the ego doesn't see it that way. The ego assumes everything is a direct attack. It constantly seeks to defend itself, to win, to dominate. And that's where suffering begins, when we attach our self-worth to how others treat us. Shi Heng Yi reminds us that we are not our thoughts, our roles, or our image. You are not your job title, your relationship status, or your reputation. When you let go of needing to protect or prove your ego, you free yourself from most emotional pain. You can be criticized and not collapse. You can be ignored and not feel invisible. You can be misunderstood and still remain at peace. To detach from ego, you must practice humility and stillness. Meditation is powerful because it helps you witness the ego's voice without feeding it. When the mind says, "You have to respond or they'll walk over you," just watch that thought. Do not believe it immediately. Is it fear speaking? Insecurity? Pride? Another powerful tool is non-defensive communication. Try this. The next time someone offends you, do not explain yourself, do not attack back, and do not sulk. Simply listen. Allow the ego to sit in silence. You will be amazed at how powerful you feel when you no longer need to prove anything. The more you detach from ego, the lighter you become. You stop fighting every battle. You stop reacting to every jab. You begin to understand that your peace is not up for negotiation, especially not with the fragile illusions of pride. 4. Shift from emotion to observation. Emotions are powerful, but they are not always accurate. Just because you feel disrespected does not mean you were. Just because you feel angry does not mean someone actually harmed you. Emotions are signals, but they are not truths. Shi Heng Yi emphasizes the importance of shifting from being inside the emotion to observing the emotion. This subtle shift changes everything. When you are caught inside anger, you are the anger. You speak through it, move through it, and often regret the results. But when you observe anger, you create distance. You notice your body heating up, your breathing changing, your thoughts racing, and in that space of awareness, you gain control. You can decide how to respond, if at all. Shi Heng Yi teaches that the mind is like a garden. Every emotion is a seed. If you water the seed of anger by replaying the insult or offense in your head, it grows into rage. But if you simply observe the seed without feeding it, it dries up and dies. Observation starves negative emotions. It deprives them of your attention, the fuel they need to survive. One way to practice this shift is through body awareness. When a strong emotion arises, do not immediately think about it. Instead, bring your attention to the physical sensations. What is happening in your chest, stomach, or throat? Breathe into that area. This grounds you in the body and pulls you out of the storm of the mind. Another practice is labeling. When you feel triggered, simply name the emotion. I'm feeling frustration. That single act creates distance. You are no longer the frustration. You are the one observing it. The more you practice this shift from emotion to observation, the more emotionally bulletproof you become. You no longer fall into every emotional trap. You rise above it. You watch, you breathe, and you move on. Observation is not weakness. It is the highest form of intelligence. 5. Practice mental stillness. In a world full of noise, distractions, and constant stimulation, mental stillness is becoming a rare and powerful skill. Shi Heng Yi teaches that the mind is like a glass of muddy water. If you keep stirring it, the water stays cloudy. But if you let it settle, clarity returns. The same applies to your thoughts. When you cultivate stillness, you see things clearly, and clarity dissolves anger. Mental stillness is not about having no thoughts. It is about not being ruled by your thoughts. It is a state where you allow thoughts to pass by without chasing them, judging them, or attaching to them. Most of our emotional pain comes not from events, but from our overthinking about them. Something small happens, and the mind starts creating stories, assumptions, and conclusions. Before you know it, you are angry over something that never even happened. Stillness cuts through this mental noise. It anchors you in the present moment. Shi Heng Yi encourages simple yet powerful practices to achieve this state. One of them is conscious breathing. Just focusing on your breath. Inhale, exhale, anchors your attention, and quiets the mind. Another is walking meditation, where every step is taken slowly, deliberately, and with full awareness. He also emphasizes not filling every gap in your day with stimulation. Notice how people reach for their phones the second they are bored, waiting, or alone. Instead, allow those moments to be stillness. Let your mind rest. This resting phase is when emotional healing happens. It is when your nervous system recalibrates. It is where anger cannot survive. Mental stillness also helps you detach from impulsive reactions. When your mind is calm, your vision sharpens. You see things as they are, not through the lens of ego or fear. You become less reactive, more compassionate, and unshakably centered. In stillness, you remember who you are. Not the chaos, not the story, not the emotion, but the calm awareness behind it all. And from that space, no one can disturb your peace. 6. Embrace discomfort intentionally. Most people react with anger or irritation simply because they are uncomfortable. They are mentally soft. Someone says something offensive, and suddenly they feel attacked. A small inconvenience happens, and they fall apart. But Shi Heng Yi teaches that the key to emotional resilience is not avoiding discomfort. It is choosing it, facing it, and even welcoming it. True strength is forged in adversity. The mind becomes disciplined the same way the body becomes strong, through resistance, challenge, and discomfort. If you always avoid what bothers you, your tolerance for life becomes razor thin. But if you lean into discomfort, intentionally, you train yourself to remain calm no matter what. Shi Heng Yi encourages practices that build mental and emotional endurance. One example is cold showers. They are not just for physical toughness. They train your mind to stay calm in a situation that would normally trigger panic or resistance. Another is holding difficult postures in Qigong or martial arts. When the legs tremble and the muscles ache, the student learns to breathe through discomfort without running from it. This same principle applies to emotional challenges. The next time someone insults you, resist the urge to snap back. Instead, stay with the discomfort. Feel it fully. Observe how your ego wants to react. Then breathe and choose silence. This is not weakness. This is self-mastery. When you embrace discomfort intentionally, you are no longer controlled by it. Life becomes less about avoiding triggers and more about building tolerance. You begin to understand that discomfort is not the enemy. It is your teacher. It shows you where you are still reactive, where you are still attached, and where you are still afraid. Eventually, what used to bother you no longer even registers. That rude comment? It is just noise. That stressful situation? Just another moment to practice peace. You become like a mountain, unshaken by storms, unbothered by winds, anchored in the power you have built from within. 7. Protect your energy. One of the most overlooked reasons we get angry or emotionally disturbed is because our energy is already depleted. When you are running on empty, physically, mentally, or spiritually, even the smallest annoyance can feel overwhelming. Shi Heng Yi teaches that your energy is sacred, and protecting it is a responsibility, not a luxury. Think about it like this. When your internal battery is full, you are patient, understanding, and calm. But when it's drained, you snap. Not because the situation is worse, but because your capacity is lower. Most people don't need a better environment. They need better energy management. Shi Heng Yi emphasizes the importance of daily rituals that recharge you and create energetic boundaries. This means starting your day in silence before the world's noise invades your mind. It means spending time in nature, away from screens, to reconnect with stillness. It means saying no to draining people, unnecessary arguments, and drama that serves no purpose. You must also guard what you consume. The news, social media, gossip, and toxic conversations, all of these affect your inner state more than you realize. If you constantly feed your mind with chaos, how can you expect peace to grow within? Protecting your energy also means being selective with your reactions. Not every battle is yours to fight. Not every comment deserves a response. Every time you engage in pointless conflict, you are giving away your energy, and most of the time, it is not worth it. Create rituals that build your inner reservoir. Movement like yoga, qigong, or walking. Breathwork to balance your nervous system. Journaling to process emotions. These are not extras. They are essentials. When you consistently protect and renew your energy, anger loses its grip on you. You become harder to disturb because you are deeply nourished from within. Like a well-tended fire, your energy burns steadily. Strong, warm, and impossible to put out by someone else's negativity. 8. Stop seeking external validation. One of the most exhausting traps that leads to anger and emotional instability is constantly looking outside yourself for approval. When your sense of worth is in the hands of others, your boss, your partner, your friends, strangers on the internet, you become a puppet. And when they do not respond how you hope, you feel ignored, rejected, or offended. This leads to insecurity, and insecurity breeds anger. Shi Heng Yi teaches that the more you depend on external validation, the more vulnerable you become to emotional chaos. You hand your peace over to people who may not even know or care about your well-being, and as a result, you constantly overthink. Did I say the wrong thing? Why didn't they text back? Do they still like me? This mental noise is the root of so much inner suffering. The solution? Stop seeking validation and start cultivating internal certainty. This means developing your own standards for success, self-worth, and peace. It means asking yourself, do I respect myself? Do I like who I'm becoming? Am I living in alignment with my values? If the answer is yes, then what someone else thinks becomes irrelevant. When you no longer crave applause, criticism loses its power. When you are no longer addicted to being liked, disapproval does not shake you. You become free, not in a cold or arrogant way, but in a grounded, peaceful way. You are not rude. You are rooted. And rooted people are hard to move. Practices that strengthen this inner validation include affirmations, self-reflection, setting boundaries, and spending time alone without distraction. Solitude is not loneliness. It is the place where you meet your true self without filters. Shi Heng Yi reminds us that the journey is inward. Once you find your center, people can misunderstand you, ignore you, or criticize you, and still, you remain calm. You are no longer dancing for their approval. You have already approved of yourself, and that kind of freedom is untouchable. 9. Cultivate compassion for others. A surprising and powerful way to never get angry or bothered is to cultivate deep compassion for those who trigger you. Shi Heng Yi teaches that anger often arises because we fail to see others clearly. We see only how they hurt us, not their struggles, fears, or pain. When you begin to understand that every person is fighting an internal battle, your heart softens and anger dissolves. Compassion does not mean weakness or letting people walk all over you. It means recognizing that the rude driver, the harsh boss, or the critical friend is acting from a place of suffering. Maybe they are overwhelmed, lonely, or insecure. Maybe they were raised in a harsh environment or are carrying wounds you cannot see. When you cultivate compassion, you shift from "they are attacking me" to "they are hurting, and I choose not to add to that pain." This shift doesn't excuse bad behavior, but it frees your mind from being a battlefield. You no longer react with anger, but respond with understanding, or at the very least, indifference. Practicing compassion can start with small exercises. Before reacting, silently say to yourself, "This person is struggling." Imagine their pain, even if it's invisible. Over time, this rewires your brain to default to empathy instead of irritation. Shi Heng Yi also teaches that compassion includes yourself. When you make mistakes or feel weak, treat yourself with the same kindness you would offer a friend. Anger toward yourself only fuels anger toward others. Ultimately, compassion expands your heart and strengthens your emotional resilience. It transforms conflicts into opportunities for growth and connection. When you genuinely care, not because you have to, but because you want to, anger loses its place in your life. Peace takes over, and you walk through the world untouchable by negativity. Mastering the art of never getting angry or bothered by anyone is not about suppressing your emotions or pretending to be indifferent. It is about cultivating a deep inner strength rooted in awareness, discipline, and compassion, as taught by Shi Heng Yi. When you learn to master your inner weather, respond instead of react, detach from ego, and shift from emotion to observation, you create space for peace to thrive. Practicing mental stillness and embracing discomfort intentionally builds resilience, while protecting your energy and stopping the need for external validation shields you from unnecessary emotional drain. Finally, cultivating compassion for others, including yourself, softens the heart and dissolves anger at its root. This journey is not quick or easy. It requires consistent practice and patience. But every step you take toward emotional mastery brings freedom from the chaos that so often controls our lives. You reclaim your power and peace, no matter what the world throws your way. Remember, your peace is your power. When you protect it, nurture it, and choose it daily, no one can take it from you. This is the true essence of Shi Heng Yi's motivation, becoming the calm in the storm, the unshakable presence that moves through life with grace and strength. If you found this guide helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with anyone who needs to reclaim their peace. Your journey to emotional freedom starts now.